So if we ever wanted to just keep frickin' going for 8 hours, it's a long marathon of Omnibros Live. But anyway, here we are, live, another episode of Omnibros Live. Welcome, everybody. This week, I am your host, the Omnibus Collector, and with me, I've brought my acolytes, Jess, the Omnidog Bragg.
Hey now, hit him with the hind.
And, of course, no show would be complete without Mr. Hardcover Reviews himself.
Thank you, sir. How are you?
Doing well.
Good.
Yeah. How about yourself?
I've got salmon. Everything is good.
Good. I had a massive migraine earlier and had to leave work, so everything was not good, and then I came home and just kind of slept in the dark, and now I am Gucci.
It's good. It's good to hear, man. Yeah, I get migraines too. So does Jess.
I got him, yep.
It's the worst, because it's like, not only does my head hurt, but then, like, I wind up feeling like I'm about to vomit everywhere as well.
Uh-huh.
Been there.
And I lost all, like, my depth perception, so I was trying to, like, use the computer, and I couldn't tell, like, where my hands were.
Wow.
Like, I didn't know if I was actually typing or not, and then I was trying to write something down, and I was, like, writing on the wrong line of the paper. It's like, oh, fuck.
Are you sure you weren't having a stroke?
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah, that's not a good sign, man.
But, I mean, that went away after I took some Excedrin, and then I just kind of slept in a car, and then I got back.
At work, you went in the back of a car and just slept?
You got fucking radio and AC. It's nice. Big leather seats.
You just picked a random rental car.
Well, I chose a Suburban because it was big and comfortable.
Good choice.
Listen to NPR for an hour.
God, I would have loved it if somebody drove off with you, not knowing you were in the back.
I was in the front, though. I was in the front.
Oh, you were?
They would have had to come over and be like, what the hell is he doing in there? So anyway, here we are. This week's topic, kind of, I figured this would be good because we came right off of Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and we're heading right into Alien Covenant tomorrow. So I thought, let's do cosmic comics. Let's do space comics. Not just sci-fi, but like space set sci-fi. Also, I noticed that both myself and Jess are wearing Hawaiian or floral pattern button-up shirts.
Mm-hmm.
I myself have also thrown in the bolo tie just to increase my swagger levels. Luis, you need to catch up, man.
I don't know. I have my romper. My romper's on order.
Your romper.
Good. Maybe next week we can all go on with our romp hymns.
Romp
hymns? I don't see that happening.
But
there's not a pouch big enough for me.
Join us, Jess. Come on.
But anyway, so yeah, Cosmic Comics will be our whole spiel for tonight.
Nice.
Has a bunch of stuff to talk about that we're pretty excited about. But first, as always, we're going to talk about what we bought and what we read this week. I actually read several books, but I didn't buy anything, so it's kind of the opposite of usual. So whoever wants to start can go ahead, and we'll just do the round table.
Why don't I start because Luis is eating? You want me to do that?
I was just going to say that. Go ahead, Jess.
Yeah. What I bought and what I read. Let's start with what I bought. I bought, let's see, because of your recommendation, Cage. Somewhere there, Cage.
Nice.
Riley's recommendation.
Did you get to read it yet?
Not yet. No, I just got back from a little vacation, and it did not make it in time. It came while I was gone.
Apparently, you were vacationing with me in Hawaii.
Yeah. Yes.
Hawaii.
We've already gotten haircuts together. We don't want anybody else to know the full nature of our secrets.
getting bro massages
That's right.
in Hawaii.
I got the first 3 Invisible Republics. These sound really cool to me, so they're put out by Image. Again, everything's put out by Image. Uh-oh, we're having a rock and thunderstorm overhead, so if you lose me, it's because I've lost power. Surgeon X, another Image book that I read cool things about. And let's see. I finally completed the X-Men series by getting Colossus. So now I can build Warlock. Very happy about that. Yes, I
Right.
will take it out of the package and
Good.
play with it, Riley. Don't accuse me of not doing that.
Good.
Let's see. Also got Jessica Jones Uncaged. Jessica Jones Uncaged, based on Matthew Sibley's recommendation. 9 out of 10 times he's right. He was just wrong about Glitter Bomb, bastard. Then I got Atomic Blonde, 2 books, because the movie looked so cool. I wanted to see about these books. The Coldest Winter and Atomic Blonde, The Coldest City. These looked really rad, and I really want to see that movie. I don't know what made me get this. I think I saw it on a best of list. Long Walk to Valhalla by Arkeaya. And I think I saw it on a best of list from this newsletter I get where they have really good recommendations. So I'm looking forward to that. And I took a chance. I'm one of those guys that took a chance on the IST Damage sale. I got Absolute V for Vendetta for 50% off. And you got me what the damage is. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's written by Greg Moore. I don't know.
Did you open it up? Is there anything on the inside?
Yeah, it's all. I don't see any real obvious damage here. It's the regular. I guess if maybe.
Is the binding good?
Well, I mean, there may be some separation here in the very first part. I don't know if you can even see it.
Well, a little bit.
A little bit of separation there, but I don't know that I would have made a big deal of that. It does look like it's coming apart a tiny bit, but I don't know. That to me, this is not a big deal. So I think I spun the roulette wheel and got lucky at IST, because that doesn't look bad to me at all.
From what I've gathered from all of our chats and stuff, the lot of us are not really the most sensitive when it comes to damages.
Sounds like other people, not in our group.
Well, no, I mean like us, as in
Oh, the 3 of us?
the 3 of us, Gabe and Gio, and then all the guys in the admin chat, like the 2 chats that I know that both of us frequent.
Right.
I don't really, all of us kind of like scoff at the tiny damages that some people point out. Not to be rude, but it's true. Because a lot of people will be like, oh my gosh, there's a tiny little ding on the corner of this book. It's useless. It's worthless. I'm throwing it away. And like to us, from what I've seen, all of us are like, eh.
I'm a cheap bastard.
Yeah, I don't know. That V for Vendetta looked perfectly fine to me. And I have Gabe, speaking of Gabe, I have Gabe to thank for 2 awesome purchases I made. Rugrats button-up shirt
Nice.
with Reptar. So this is a real collared button-up shirt, not some old t-shirt, with Reptar. And then Hey Arnold shirt. If you can see it. Nice collar on it. It's a nice weight. So this is really cool. I'm pretty proud of these. I may wear these to one of these to Awesome Con when it comes to town. And then lastly, I got one of the bigger books in the world. Peanuts art.
Big damn peanuts.
Big damn peanuts. Yeah, and it's huge. I can't even wield it. It's unwieldy. I could surf on this thing.
So what? Wait, what's the title of that one?
Schultz Peanuts Artist Edition. And apparently they shrunk it down to about half size because it looks like his originals were like this size of the book. Like he'd take a strip and make it this big. And so they couldn't actually do it. They had to shrink it down to like a quarter of them. And so these are really cool.
It'd just be cool to have an actual 100% size one as a poster.
Yeah. So these are really good. They're from the early days, which I think were some of the most brilliant ones. So I'm pretty excited about that book. I owe Tyler Chu thanks for alerting me to its existence.
Has Charlie Brown ever actually kicked the football?
No, I know his son, Charles Schultz's son, suggested it for the last strip. That he'd be allowed to kick the football, but Schultz wasn't having it.
Wow.
He said, no, fuck you, kid.
Yeah.
No balls are getting kicked in this house, except for yours, bitch.
Yeah. Hey, who's Charles Schultz in this house? Two thumbs pointed at me.
This guy.
Yeah. It didn't go over well. So, no, he never did get to kick the football.
I drew a Peanuts, like, parody type of, or homage type of strip one time. I did, like, the 4-strip breakdown thing, because my idea was, like, all these kids from the Peanuts comics, I mean, they grew up, and so do their kids, and then their grandkids and all that. Do they hear their voice as like wah 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 wah? So I had like a strip where like Charlie Brown was an adult, and so you see his head like at the top of it's cut off by the panel, you know, like the adults in the comic, and you can tell it's him because he's still got the iconic squiggle shirt on.
Yeah.
And he's talking to the kid who's like his kid or something like that. And the kid's just like, I didn't understand a word he just said.
Back in the 60s, I had a pen pal relationship with Charles Schultz. And I still have some of the letters.
Wow, that's cool, dude.
I'll have to break them out and show them to you.
Wow.
I don't know how I got his address. I lived in California. He lived in California. I have no idea how I got his address. I was 8 years old. It was the late 60s. And he wrote me back 5 or 6 times. Very nice guy. Sent me autographs. He never sent me an original drawing, but I also never asked for one.
That's really cool.
I know. He took time out of his day to write one of his 10 million fans. So I still have those letters. I'll have to search for them. I know I still have them.
That's awesome.
Believe me, it's not like I was asking him to break down Nietzsche and some type of philosophy. It was like, hey, does your son collect Mad Magazine or something like that?
He prefers cracked.
You know, I know it'll never happen, but you know who I would actually love to see take on the Peanuts, especially today? Mark Russell.
I was going to say the same thing.
Oh, yeah?
I would love to see him take on the Peanuts today.
When you started that sentence, I was about to be like, Mark Russell.
Yeah, of course. I think he would kill it. I think he'd do a great job. I think he would be able to balance out, because the Peanuts back in the time, there was a bit of social commentary there and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. A lot of religious commentary.
Yeah, especially for the character of Franklin. If I'm probably mistaken, but I believe Franklin was actually the first black character in a comic strip, correct? Or one of the first.
That's what I've always thought, but I'm not
He
sure.
wasn't the absolute first. He might have been like the first that was not just a racist caricature.
Better, yeah.
Oh, yeah, like a real character.
When did Peanuts begin?
This is the 60s.
1950.
Because I don't know when the Spirit began, but I know that the Spirit had like a little black kid who.
Oh, yeah, the Spirit started in the 40s.
And the black kid, if he was in there at the beginning of the onset of the series, had the big lips and stuff.
Yeah.
And really dark skin. Like he was the racist caricature of black people.
It was a Sambo.
Yeah, I think Little Nemo had a Sambo type character in it too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right. So he might, while it might not be the first black character in comics, it might be one of, if not the first example of a black character that was not a racist caricature.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So the first positive representation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So is that everything that you bought?
That is, including shirts. Yes.
I didn't receive anything this week, but I did order a lot of stuff this Tuesday that I'm hoping will all arrive tomorrow from In-Stock Trades. So we'll have those things for next week. And then I read a bunch of stuff, but I guess we'll get to that in a second. Louise, are you good to go through anything that you got?
Yes, sir. I only got one thing in the mail this week.
But boy, was it a good book.
Oh, it's a great book. I'm doing an unpackaging of it right now. Yeah, it's a great book. It's Red Hood and the fucking Outlaws.
I knew it.
Shit. Okay, so it's that.
Have you read any of that before? Like even the first issue?
I've read the first issue. No, I take it back. I read the first 2 issues and it was pure trash that I wouldn't even give my cat to wipe its ass with. So yeah, I'm reviewing it next week.
And why are you doing that to yourself? Did you lose a bet?
No, it can't all be good reviews all the time. So I'm trying to branch out and do some other stuff as well.
Oh. Well,
and I'm genuinely going to give it a fair shake. I will genuinely give this a try.
I kind of like, just for shits and giggles, want to go and read just the whole thing. I don't want to buy it. I want to read it.
There's a Christmas issue where I think they fight Santa Claus or something like that.
Oh, good.
I can hear your voice just dripping with hatred about the idea.
An Alan Moore written Batman issue drawn Batman issue where he fights Santa Claus, or was it an Alan Moore drawn, or not?
Frank Miller. Frank Miller.
I was thinking, wasn't there a Frank Miller drawn or written Batman comic where he goes against Santa Claus?
It's called Wanted Santa Claus Dead or Alive. That one?
That sounds about right. Do you have that with you?
I do.
Oh, my.
Have to move Damien just a second.
It's like 2 Bon Jovi songs mixed together.
Wanted.
Santa Claus Dead or Alive.
That bolo tie fits that song perfectly, man.
I think this bolo tie fits this shirt perfectly.
It really does.
Miller?
It's like the West meets Hawaii.
Batman Year One, Batman Santa Claus. That's still Year One.
Either way, I'm returning that to Amazon as soon as I'm done.
Oh, what a hoser.
I'm getting my $2 back.
Is that how much it cost?
It was like $2-3 used. I went for the cheapest price available.
It looked like it was in good condition, though.
It actually is. I'm very surprised. It looks like it's never been read, which does not surprise me. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's been read at all. It's a fun and thrilling book. I fanboy. You lie. It's got a huh?
All I remember from the first issue, the thing that made me turn away from it was just Starfire's character.
Where she's basically, yeah, I know. That was a real big turnoff for me. An action book chock full of wit and one-liners. Enjoy Rockefeller's uber detailed art and Lobdell's gift for wisecracking. Well-armed soldiers of fortune, USA Today.
Christmas or no, crime goes on. Somebody even stole the star from that nativity scene. Well, I can't be concerned with that now. I've got a bigger problem.
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus wanted. Santa Claus dead or alive.
Dead or alive.
I just want Jess during the holiday season. Jess is gonna have to read to us Christmas songs.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna what now?
Jess, you're reading to us Christmas comics during the holiday season. It'll be a weekly thing leading up to Christmas.
While a few blocks away, bring me some more of that punch, darling. Some more of that high-octane punch, know what I mean? You got it, Mr. Lasco.
Oh. There's some good voices.
The Batman. I suppose it would be pointless to wish you season's greetings.
Love this.
Yeah, okay. I'll do that. I'll read this. I'll give you a dramatic reading of this book this Christmas. It's only 5 pages long.
You should, like, maybe by Christmas, make it just a video on your channel and get, like, a pretty decent quality recording of you, like, sitting by a fireplace in like a smoking jacket.
Oh, he has to have a smoking jacket.
With little kids around me.
You can have like a highball glass, but it filled with root beer, and you just like place it down and be like reading.
Tonight we have a dramatic reading of Wanted, Santa Claus, Dead or Alive. I'm your host, Omnidog. Let's see. What's it about? Ooh, Santa Claus gets shot.
What?
You're not the real Santa.
He gets shot at.
Does he get shot in Crime Alley next to Batman's parents?
Too soon.
Too soon.
Yeah. It's been 30 years.
It's been 70 years.
Well, 7 years. I was thinking more Batman's age, but okay.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta get over that shit eventually.
Okay, Santa Claus is just shot at, but he's not hurt. And somehow the miracle star of Christmas helps Batman find something that somebody did. And tune in this December, and I'll read this to you, and we'll all figure out what happened to Santa Claus, Dead or Alive, by Frank Miller.
It's written by Frank Miller?
Yes.
It's
not drawn by Frank Miller.
Is Mrs. Claus wearing something scantily clad?
Oh, I apologize. It's written by Denny O'Neil and illustrated by Frank Miller and Steve Mitchell.
Even better.
Yeah. Then you know she's wearing something scantily clad.
Wait, who? Who's wearing something scantily?
Mrs. Claus. It's Frank.
Oh, she's not in it. And it's really hard to tell that this is Frank Miller art. I'm assuming that he did the pencils and that the other guy did the inks, because it doesn't really look that super Frank Miller-y type of style. But as you can see right there. But that's cool. Yeah, I'll work on my delivery for the next 6 months.
Good. We'll rehearse it.
Okay.
Have a great radio show. As far as what I've read, I went back. I've read this before, but I wanted to give it a reread. And I read Coward by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Criminal. Great crime series. I love Criminal. Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, they come back every few years, and they put out another series of criminal books. And pretty much every single year that it comes out, it's one of the best things that's written. It wins Eisner's out the ass every single year that it's published. It's fantastic stuff. If you are somebody that is into movies like The Town, The Departed, Heat, things like that, Criminal by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips is right up your alley. The basic premise of this one, The Coward, is that it centers around the character of Leo. I believe that was what his name, if I'm not mistaken. And Leo is known as a coward. He is somebody that he does and he plans heist for people, but he's never been caught before, mostly because he's a coward. He knows when to abandon a heist. He knows when to leave the money, and he's got a set of rules. As you can imagine, he is hired for a certain heist. Things go wrong, and he has to find a way out of it. What I love so much about Criminal is that the story, there's no fat. There is no fat to trim. It's boom, 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 boom. It moves at a breakneck pace. I love that about this series. It's really one of the best things that's written. Matt Parker and Trey Stone say that in storytelling, the best way to do a story, they did this interview for like university students a few years ago, is that when you start a story, it goes, something happens, and then this happens because of that, and then something else happens because of that. Rather than just a set of random events, you build up to it, and Criminal does that perfectly. It is a bit of a shared universe. There's 6 volumes out. Each volume, I've only read about 3 or 4 volumes so far. They are set in this universe full of criminals. Sometimes they overlap into each other. You see sometimes characters in the background that were in previous volumes. Sometimes smaller characters, they'll show up more predominantly later on in the story. But I absolutely love this series. If you, like I said, are somebody that is into crime books and you haven't read it for whatever reason, it's Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. They're like one of the best teams in comics right now.
Can't argue with that.
Mm-hmm. And that's about it. They also did Fatale, right? That was the team that was on Fatale.
And now they're doing Kill or Be Killed.
I need to read that, but I'm waiting for the inevitable hardcover.
That book's fucking good.
It really is. Yeah. I read the first trade.
Have you guys read Velvet?
Yes.
I need to. I haven't read it yet. How is it?
It's good. I didn't like it as much as I wanted to, and I definitely didn't like it as much as I'm enjoying Kill or Be Killed.
Yeah, Kill or Be Killed grabbed me from the beginning. What a great idea he has in it.
Is
Fantastic book.
Is Velvet Sean Phillips as well, or is that somebody else?
I thought it was. Now you're making me second guess myself.
I'm not sure if it is.
Is it?
Let's see.
Maybe it's Michael Lark.
I think it might be.
Do I have Velvet out here?
Steve Epting. Wow. That was very...
Where the hell's Velvet? This is where Lazarus is. I gotta get my Bruce. Oh wait, that's Rucka. No wonder I went to the Rucka section. I'm all buggered up. Huh. Okay, well.
Yeah, Velvet's good. It didn't quite grab me as much as Kill or Be Killed has. Like, and the same with it was Fade Out was Phillips. That's the one that had Phillips on it.
Yeah, I love Fade Out.
Yeah.
Fade Out was another one that didn't grab me as much. Like issue.
Really?
Kill or Be Killed is just astonishingly good. Every single issue, beginning, middle, and end, just hook, line, and sinker. Every single installment of that series, and not only is it building a fascinating main character, but it's also building fascinating side characters in that series, support characters, so to say, and like he's just really expertly crafting that world to be like, it keeps you on your toes and it keeps you guessing, like, is there something weird going on, or is it all just, you know, normal or something? I don't know. Like, you have to read it. I don't want to spoil anything, but like the way that it unfolds is really, really good.
I need to. Matt Miranda is saying it's kind of like Death Note.
Maybe a little bit. I mean, the basic idea, like, and this isn't really spoiling since it's the outline of the first issue, but the basic idea is that this main character is like dying, and if he doesn't kill people, he's gonna die.
Huh. Okay.
And it's like a demon that's telling him you have to kill people. So he's decided that, well, if I'm gonna have to do it, because when he decides, no, I'm not fucking killing people, like, that's wrong, he starts getting sick. And this is all in the first issue, so don't worry about spoilers. It's the first freaking issue. But anyway, like, he starts to feel sick, and he's like, okay, well, maybe I should, because I feel like I'm gonna die. And he decides, if I'm gonna kill people, if I have to do it, I should kill people that deserve to be killed.
Mm-hmm.
So it does have kind of the same basic tone as Death Note, where he's like, but in Death Note, he's like, I have the ability to kill people, so I should use this to rid the world of any, evil. Whereas in Kill or Be Killed, he's like, I guess I fucking have to kill people, so I'll use it for good.
Okay. You are making this really hard for me not to just go ahead and start reading it in trades because this sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, it's really cool.
God, but there's got to be a hardcover. Didn't they solicit one already?
I don't remember if it got solicited, but no, I don't think it did because the second volume of the series in paperback hasn't even come out.
Right.
But I mean, Going Brubaker winds up getting a hardcover.
Yeah.
It's just going to take a while.
Mm-hmm. Damn, I might actually order Kill or Be Killed tonight. I really want to read that now.
It is
And the first
awesome.
volume is a $10 image trade, so it's not like
That's an image trade, so it's like $9. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, was there anything else that you had read this week?
Oh, are we
No.
talking about reading?
Yeah, I guess so.
Not on my case. Just continuing the Legion Omnibus. Really good stuff.
I love that book.
Fantastic. Jess, what did you read anything?
I read, first thing I read was all 3 volumes of Lady Mechanica,
Mm-hmm.
which I loved. It's steampunk, 1880s. Lady Mechanica was a lab experiment where they were somebody, she doesn't know who yet, replaced her limbs and her eyes with bionic mechanical stuff. So she has supreme fighting ability. The art in this is unbelievable. This is Joe Benitez, and let me see if I can get a representative panel. It's all steampunk, so there's all kinds of cool flying ships and crazy creatures, and she's got, you know, the tiny waist and the big boobs and the red eyes, and she totally kicks ass. She kicks every man's ass, and there are a number of female antagonists in this book, as well as Lady Mechanica being the main protagonist. But the artwork is just gorgeous, and it is a really fun read. She's like an adventurer detective, and I got a huge kick out of it. The first issue was written and drawn and everything, except for the colors, which are awesome, by Steigerwald. The colors are really astonishing in the first one. Then the book gets written by, let's see, Mike M.M. What letters are those? Oh, those are M's. M.M. Chen. He takes over the story writing in volumes 2 and 3. And while it didn't suffer, it just wasn't as fun. I thought it got kind of preachy, but the first one, I highly recommend the first one. It's all self-contained story, and it's super fun. Steampunk adventure, Lady Mechanica. There's no romance. There's a lot of violence and ass kicking, and it's incredibly well drawn. So if you like that kind of ass kicking women, that's the book for you.
My girl's been wanting to read that.
Yeah, it is really good because there's all kinds of really cool inventions in the 1880s that are all in steampunk Victorian England, and it's great. I really enjoyed it. The other book I read was Roughneck, Jeff Lemire, and as usual, it was a fast but epic read. This guy is making his way to my top 5, like all time. I mean, this is such a good book, so well done, and I think his drawing, his artwork is kind of may not be some people's cup of tea, but it really does. He really does do a good job conveying emotion in this, just like he did with Sweet Tooth. So I totally recommend and loved Roughneck. And then my big book of the week was The Book of Chaos from Humanoids. which is brash archaeologist Jack Stanton is the sole survivor of a Himalayan expedition that went horribly wrong. Against all odds, he returns with proof of an ancient civilization that walked the earth before mankind. And this book is epic. The art is really great. He makes a discovery of civilization in the Himalayas that existed before man did, and of course, it unleashes the greatest evil possible in the world. And it's very European, of course, because it's a European comic. And artwork is really great. It's just a big, beautiful sci-fi, demonic, crazy book that I got a huge kick out of. It's not very expensive. I mean, on IST, it's about $20, but it's a big, thick, nice hardcover that is being translated from the French for the first time since its publication. And I highly recommend it. It gets the Omnidog seal of approval. For those of you that like humanoids books, the Book of Chaos is great. I need to read it again to understand it all. It needs a little bit more. I need to absorb a little bit more because it's not complicated, but there's a lot of layers in it. There's a lot of demons and stuff, which I think are cool. And the artwork is reminiscent of Joe Kubert, maybe at his best. So I enjoyed this book a lot. And that is what I read.
Cool. My things that I've read is pretty simple because while I've read a lot, it's all been the same book. I just went full steam ahead and read about 5 volumes of Berserk since the last show.
Man, you consume that book.
Well, where I was in the book, I kind of was slowing down because it wasn't as action-packed. It was a little more just kind of story-oriented, and it wasn't focusing on what I really wanted to see. As far as, like, giant fucking demons. Fucking both used in the colloquial sense and in the literal sense.
Did you finish Golden Age?
I'm at the end of it right now.
Because I've heard after Golden Age it slows down a lot.
I've heard that it has not.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, people, like, some of the people who are really big fans of the series said, like, it just keeps getting better.
Oh, okay.
So I've been really anticipating it. But where I am right now, like, I was meaning to read the next couple of volumes before I did the show today, and I would have read like 7 books before I came back on, because it's like it wraps up the Golden Age and starts up the next era of the book, and I'm in the middle of like really interesting plot points regarding Griffith and basically how he becomes what we see in that opening arc of the series. And I accidentally saw some spoilers of some really fucked up stuff, and I really just want to read that stuff. And yeah, so it was a really good experience this past week reading all that stuff. Highly recommending that series at this point. Like, yeah, I can see why it gets the attention that it does. Also, when I ordered the whole series on In-Stock Trades, the only volume that was not available was volume 30. It's available now, so if anyone else had that issue, it's up there for the regular price that they have all the others, like 8 something. So good stuff there. You don't have to worry about either buying it at the store for more or ordering from Amazon and risking damaged books. Also, I read the latest volume of My Hero Academia, which was really cool. Kind of wrapped up a story arc that a small arc that they were working on from the previous volume, and went forward into another story. And then I also have read a few books from this week. I read all of last week's new issues, and from this week's new issues, I've read. I finished up The Button, the Flash number 22, and I read the new issue of Batman, the new issue of something else from DC that I just can't remember right now, and I also read the new issue of Secret Empire. which Secret Empire #2 has a pretty damn interesting cliffhanger at the end, which I think might be appealing not only to people who've been enjoying this whole Nazi cap thing, but also people who have not been enjoying it. They might want to check out that cliffhanger because it's leading towards some really interesting stuff. As far as the button goes, I'm still not digging the whole Watchmen as part of the DC universe proper, and they're really not even doing much with it except for like little bitty teases here and there in different books. It was a decent little crossover event, but it had more to do with Flashpoint than it did with Watchmen. So if you wanted a follow-up for Flashpoint and some of the events there and how it like bleeds into the New 52 and Rebirth and stuff like that, then yeah, I would recommend reading it. If you care more about seeing what they're doing with the Watchmen, I'm just going to say only read the end of Flash 22. Like literally the last 3 pages is all you need.
Did you read Tom King's Batman this week? Apparently it was a really good issue involving Swamp Thing.
Yep. Yeah, it was pretty good, and there's a lot of really funny scenes in there. If you enjoyed Kite Man from the early issues of Tom King's run, Kite Man makes another appearance, and he's still the same, like, Kite Man, Kite Man. And then there's a funny little sequence where, like, Batman jumps in the Batmobile, and Swamp Thing jumps in with him, and Swamp Thing is like, why do you need a car? And then Batman turns and says, why do you need a body?
There was, yeah, I haven't read it, but I've seen some preview stills on it online, and it looked like a blast. I've heard you could actually read it and you'll be perfectly fine. There was a few nice little touches also that I saw where like Swamp Thing is drinking tea and he makes like the cup out of his hand or whatever it is. Like the teacup forms out of his hand and he's slipping on it through plants or something. It was really cool. It looked really good. I think I might just end up picking that one shot up and giving it a read.
It's a good one. It's definitely a good one, and it is just a self-contained one-shot type of story. The next issue is an aftermath to the Bane story that was happening before this, and then we get into the War of Jokes and Riddles, which is the big like Joker Riddler crossover thing. And I think we lost Jess, maybe.
He said it might happen because they've got a nasty thunderstorm over there.
Yeah, I do recall him saying that. So I'm not. Well, he just commented on the chat room saying he picked up Savage Highway.
Is that a Bon Jovi album?
I don't know.
I could have.
But yeah, Nick is saying Jess got hit by lightning. I don't know if that's. And now Jess is saying that you can't see me. No, we can't. I don't know if maybe your camera went out or something, but we don't see you on here. Before we go, though, into the main topic, and I guess while Jess gets his shit together, I'm going to drop some words about 2 different things. One of them is kind of Jess-centric, so I am trying to wait until Jess... Oh, there he is.
Oh, there we go.
Now I can't hear you, Jess.
We launched him into space.
Yeah, he's the space Omni dog.
How about now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay.
Major Tom.
So Jess, the first thing that I wanted to talk about is a certain project that involves you and guest starring myself and is being orchestrated by one Nathan Burkholz.
Oh, right. Yeah, this was a complete surprise to me. Yeah, I'm excited to hear that you're on board for the spoken word part of it.
Yeah, do you want to drop the news or let people know what this is that we're alluding to?
There's a Kickstarter that Nathan Burkholz is doing right now. Last May, actually, Nathan wrote a theme song for me called Omnidog's theme song. It's really fun, and it cracked me up, and it's Nathan on like all the instruments and singing except for maybe the drums. But he started a Kickstarter for to make clear colored 7-inch vinyl records. So they do like
it's really fun, and it cracked me up.
Sorry,
What's going on there?
that was me.
Oh,
Of course.
so he's got a Kickstarter with, and to get to a certain level, you'll get a 7-inch with I believe four different versions of the Omnidog theme song, which is a very funny song. And it's also got levels with rewards, and the rewards are pretty nice. They're like out-of-print books that he's offering up from his own collection for some of the rewards. I will let Nathan can put in there in the chat the address for the Kickstarter. I think it's got the words Omnidog in it. If you go to Kickstarter and search Omnidog, you'll come up with it. And Riley has signed on to do. Tell him, Riley.
Nathan approached me recently asking if I would be willing to do a spoken word portion on the album, and I said, yeah, sure, why not? Just reach out whenever you need me to do it.
That's going to be fun. So you're going to do the spoken words of the Omnidog song?
Yeah. So I'll be on there, and it'll be cool. It'll be my first legitimate musical project since I was a singer in a band in high school.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Nathan just said if you go to Kickstarter and search Omnidog, you'll come up with it. And it's not expensive. The goal is not a huge goal. This is just a kind of fun thing. I have nothing to do with it other than the fact that my name's Omnidog, but I mean, it was a complete surprise to me that he did it, and I think it's really funny and fun. And Nathan, I spent the day with Nathan in Portland last year, and he is one of the nicest guys, very funny, just a true super nice guy. And don't back it for me, back it for Riley and Nathan, because I've hung out with both of them, and they're both cool guys. So go to Kickstarter, search Omnidog, pony up just a couple bucks, and you can get a colored vinyl 45 with 4 versions of the Omnidog theme song. There may be a 5th. My brother-in-law is an opera singer. He was with me when I discovered the Omnidog theme song, and there may be an opera version of it.
That's awesome.
We just have to get the lyrics to him because he can do the music on his own. But yeah, there could be 5 versions.
Why stop doing it? Let's get the Spanish version out.
El perro de Omni.
We could have Nick sing the vocals.
So yeah, that's it. They're saying something about
yeah, Riley, you're the one who's got to post the link, man. It won't let
it's not letting Nathan post
I don't
it.
think even I can post links in there because I've tried before.
No, but you're hosting. You should be able to. I've done it before.
Oh. Well, someone send me the link and then I'll post the link. I guess I could be less lazy and just go to Kickstarter and search it just like everyone else.
Spoken word Riley. That is going to be a huge factor in sales for this. Spoken word is the new thing, man.
Yeah, I'm hoping for an interpretive dance version too.
Add a laser disc onto there. So that was the first thing that I wanted to go over as far as other stuff that's happening in the world of the Omnibros. The other thing was something really fun that happened this week in the group. So as you all are aware, and especially the American people that are in the group, yeah, it didn't let me post it.
What? Nick.
But oh yeah, Nick came back. That was number one. That was a big thing. But yeah, the American users of the group, of our Facebook group, are familiar with the fact that everyone uses in-stock trades to order their books because it's the cheapest shit ever for new books, and they ship bomb-proof. And while it might take a few days to ship, sometimes it's worth it in the end for the free bomb-proof shipping and really cheap fucking books. And we've sung their praises for, I have, as long as I've been ordering from them for years, and I've mentioned them in every single video I do, and I have mentioned them on like all kinds of posts on the group when people join and they don't know where everyone buys their books from and they're in the US, and I say, go here. And I tell them good luck and I'm sorry about your wallet. Apparently, a couple people have been in the group for a while, but I didn't notice because I'm a dummy. If you have ever contacted In Stock Trades customer service, a young woman named Emily may have responded to you. And she may have given you the best damn customer service you've ever seen, and fixed any problem that you have without any issues. Well, said young woman, as well as one of the, if I'm not mistaken, founders of DCBS/IST, has joined our group. And recently, Emily has decided to provide extra customer service to us by informing the group about books that have gone out of stock and back in stock. This week, the first time she decided to do this for us is with the new Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 3. The DM variant with the Gil Kane artwork went out of stock after a couple hours or so, and she let us know later that day, hey, we're going to get some more copies. So y'all stay tuned, and we're going to have 20 more books. Sure enough, when she posted on that thread, she commented, hey, they're up now. There's 20 of them. Come and get them before they're gone. They were gone in 7 minutes, I believe, is what someone counted. And it looks like all of them went onto, or 2 members of our group, because at least 11 people from our group mentioned, yeah, I got one. Mm-hmm. So 11 out of 20. And then again, she commented today that they got like another 40. And then those were gone pretty quickly as well. So really cool of her just stepping above and beyond the call of duty as far as customer service goes. It's really awesome for us because I know that a lot of people love those variant covers on the Omnis, and just having kind of an edge up on the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Especially when there's websites trying to fuck you over like cheap graphic novels. Raise their price like twice in the same day.
Fucking asshats.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they, on top of that, have the audacity to charge you like, what, $6 or $7 for shipping?
No, and the thing that pisses me off, that morning I looked online, because I usually look at cheap graphic novels to see what's coming out the day before, because they update on Monday. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'll look on cheap graphic novels so I can see what I want on Tuesday. The day before, it was like $55. After that, within like an hour after they were sold out in stock trades, that shit shot up to almost like $80. Like, what the fuck?
Whoa. And I hear their customer service is awful. They have a super bad attitude. They are like the evil Star Trek universe equivalent of Emily. They're like the mirror equivalent of Emily. They're
I
just
think
awful.
there was one of the guys that works for them, I think it was that site, was actually in the group before, and everyone basically like got mad at him.
Yeah.
And left.
Yeah, he was in the group for a while. I know what you're talking about.
So, I mean, it's really cool. And what's really cool is that we've also had some of the UK viewers might recognize Read Comics. We had the owner of Read Comics in our group at one point. He never posted anything, but every time people in the group were excited about a certain book or talking about how it's going out of print, he would raise the prices. So we wound up having to throw him out of the group because he was basically fucking all the UK people over.
Wow.
So I mean, to see that they have not only Emily, like their most well-known customer service representative, reaching out to us and giving us a heads up on stuff that we're going to want to buy. They also have one of their like founders of DCBS is in the group, and they're still providing the same service and the same prices, the same discounts. They're not trying to take advantage of us at all, which is something that made me extremely happy and thankful. And so I wanted to give a shout out there and say how thankful I know a lot of us are for the service that they've provided always, and now that they're giving us that extra little oomph, which has really helped out probably at least 60 people who got those extra copies of Spider-Man.
Yeah, that is amazingly cool. And I will just add that I'm the mod that let Emily and the other person in. And the only reason I'm not saying the other person's name is because they haven't come out publicly. And that's why I didn't release Emily's name when I approved her a couple of months ago, because to me, it's a privacy issue. She has her own reasons for joining. I had no idea what they were. She may have just wanted to monitor us for, to know what is going to be popular so they can stock up on it. Maybe she's a reader, whatever it was. I didn't want to release her name because I didn't want to A, invade her privacy, and B, get everybody all excited that somebody from IST was involved, because I knew that, sort of a group mentality of nerd explosions of happiness could happen and get taken to an extreme, which did happen a little bit, and we had to delete some comments. But for the most part, the members responded as you did, Riley, with a lot of gratitude and a lot of props. Emily is a rock star on the page, and was before she even joined. So because she was such a rock star, I just didn't want to release her name until she wanted to release it and let her presence be known. I imagine she must have 1,000 friend requests at this point. I wish I could message her and just say, hope you know what you're doing by exposing your name. But I agree with everything you said, Riley. It is so cool that from a company like that, they would come on the page and tell us about the variant. That says a lot about them, and that says a lot about the page that they would actually do that. That's a pretty cool relationship that we can nurture here and really help each other out. So I'm really excited.
Like I said, they kept the price like at that 50% discount. They didn't tell us like, hey, there's going to be more, but they're going to be $60. They're going to be 70. Like they just said, hey, there's going to be more, and there was still $50.
Yeah.
So they're not trying to take advantage. They're definitely taking advantage of the fact that they know that we mostly look and buy from their page. But they're doing it, as Nick said in our chat, in the best way possible by like utilizing that fact that we all do buy from them and being smart about it and using it to both of our advantages. It's a symbiotic relationship.
Very
at this
good.
point.
Mutually beneficial.
Two things. Sorry about that. Two things that I personally would like to point out is that it's great we have her on the group, but guys, also don't flood her inbox with just like questions upon questions about books that are coming out and stuff like that. It can get a bit annoying. So respect her privacy, respect her as a person.
Yeah.
All that good stuff. So just don't blow up her inbox. Please don't do that. And the other thing is, you should probably know we are not getting paid for this promotion. This is this is genuinely us saying we love their services. We don't get a dime from this. So just throwing it out there.
And even like I've reached out before, like even before the page existed, asking for if I could possibly get sponsorship. And they said no, and I'm like, that's fine. I don't care, because I'm still gonna fucking like talk about y'all and your services, even if you don't like pay me for it, because I love y'all that much.
Yeah.
I don't need them at this point. Like, if they wanted to, they reached out to us, sure, but they don't need it, and I don't need it. We don't need it. It whatever. We just want to be mutually like, patting each other's backs at this point. And I do agree with what Louise said. Like, I know that she got probably like 100 notifications about stuff yesterday, just people tagging her over and over.
Yeah.
It can be a little bit annoying, but she was awesome and was still commenting and talking to people and stuff. So she was being cool about it. But also, I know that a couple people said like, hey, you should get her on the show or something. I appreciate the idea, but like Jess was saying, we don't want to invade on her privacy. Like, maybe if the relationship between the group and the store winds up continuing, maybe that's something that we try to pursue in the future. But right now, we're just wanting to sit quietly and thankfully that they've taken absolute notice to us and are giving us, perks as a group.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So anyway,
pretty nice.
That's all I really
customer
wanted to go for happenings. And I guess now with 35 minutes left in the show, we should probably get into our main topic of cosmic comic books. Of course, the topic this week, like I said, cosmic comic books. We're going to talk about sci-fi books that take place in space, inspired by the fact that we just watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and now we've got Alien Covenant coming out tomorrow. And we're all big geeks that love space-related stuff. So we've picked each of us some comics that we really love that have to do with space, space things, aliens, stuff like that. And whoever wants to take it first, you guys can go right on ahead.
I'll let Jessica.
Huh? What? Oh, okay. That's right. I'm on the air. I forgot. Okay. Well, admittedly, I don't know a lot about Cosmic Marvel. I'm going to do, after I do my Hellboy read through this summer, I'm going to do a Cosmic Marvel read through in the fall. So Infinity Gauntlet's the only thing I've read, so I can't, and I love that book, but I can't go on at length about Marvel. But one thing I can talk about, two things I can talk about, is DC Cosmic and the Star Wars comics that just came out. I have, now this is my own bound book of Red Lanterns, but I happen to love Red Lanterns. I know Peter Milligan's first few issues don't get the love that I think they deserve. That's, of course, up to you. But Red Lanterns are fueled by rage, and they are part of the color spectrum that got created back in the which I will talk about in a little bit, the Jeff Johns Green Lantern run, the Colors of Emotions, but an Atrocitus, the guy is in charge, Atrocitus, whatever his name is, also has one of the great characters in comics, and that's Bleeze, who I dig with her. You can see the bones of her wings because their wings have been burned off, but her the rage is fuel for their red power rings, and that's how they create the planet that they're on, which is whatever the hell it is, the Red Rings of Rage, blah-blah-blah, Atrocitus, and Red Lantern Corps. But one of the really cool things is that Guy Gardner is in it. He's got enough rage in him that he is gone from a Green Lantern to a Red Lantern. And they get into all kinds of space battles. And there's even a cat Red Lantern that is like Atrocitus's pet. And the best one to me is when Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, gets amnesia, shows up in space full of rage. You go into the blood bath center of this planet, and it turns you into a Red Lantern. And I'm sure somebody can will correct me and tell me the name of the planet because I'm just not drawing it right now. But there it is. And it is so cool to me that they would use Supergirl in this way to be a Red Lantern, because everybody flips when they find out she's Kryptonian under the yellow sun, and she's got all this rage power. Her enemies and friends alike flip out when they find out that a Kryptonian has the power of the Red Lantern. So I totally dig this book just because it's so different than just Green Lanterns going out, saving the galaxy. Yeah, that's interesting. These guys are fueled by rage, and it makes it a very interesting storyline. Charles Soule does, I believe, trade paperbacks 4, 5, and 6, which are really, really great. And I personally happen to like Peter Milligan's first 3 arcs. I know they catch some grief. Whatever. I liked them. So Red Lantern is available in trade paperback, or you can send me $1 million to get my omnibus that I had done, because that's what I would sell it for. $1 million. And the next books that I loved, Star Wars by Marvel, are a lot of them are good books. One of them is a great book, and that is Darth Vader, which is by far, I believe, it was my favorite book last year. This introduces us to killer droids that like to torture. It introduces us to Dr. Aphra, who is a rogue archaeologist that ends up working for Darth Vader. It gives Darth Vader very much a personality, goes in depth into Darth Vader, goes in depth into Dr. Aphra, which is very interesting, and her killer droids, which are funny in an evil kind of way. But I think this is a book that I'm going to be reading and rereading for a long time, because it is so interesting. The art is very good, but it is so well done. He really puts, this is written by, I believe, Kieran Gillen. Yeah, he really puts meat and flesh on the bones of Darth Vader. You get to know us. This is the Darth Vader we've all been waiting for, because he goes so in depth into who Darth Vader is currently. This takes place, I don't know when, maybe right after the I forget, maybe right after the Death Star gets blown up. I can't remember now because I finished it last year and I have a bad memory for what I had for breakfast this morning. But Dr. Aphra, this woman does a tap dance with Darth Vader the whole time, where she's willing and eager to help him, but also knows that once she's done, he's going to kill her probably, because that's the way Darth Vader is. And so there's this sort of tap dance that she does, trying to stay one step ahead of him. And when you're dealing with a Sith Lord, that's not easy. But they get into all kinds of fixes, all kinds of situations. And I thought it was fascinating and super fun. The Fall and Rise of Darth Vader is what the second one is called, with Vader Down. You cannot go wrong reading these books. Even Felipe Sarmiento would like a Marvel book of Darth Vader. I'm guaranteeing it, Felipe. If you're out there, you really need to get these Star Wars books, because
I like it better if it was DC, though. Even if it was the exact same book, if it was just published by DC rather than Marvel.
Well, I'm going to guarantee that those are the Marvel books he needs to buy, and maybe, I don't know, this may be the book that tips him over the balance and into the Marvel universe. But then the last thing, I know I'm running out of time, so I don't want to go on too long. But the other cosmic books that were great, Jeff Johns' Green Lantern, and then I had a custom bind done of Green Lantern Corps, which Nathan Burkholz helped me map out. Green Lantern Corps. He and I went back and forth for a couple of weeks on what to put in. I have 4 volumes made up of it. Some of the books are hard to find in Green Lantern Corps. Dark Side of the Green is hard to find. A couple other books, but they're available on Comixology. And it deals a lot with Kyle Rayner as Ion. Then the first in Green Lantern Corps, and then, which is very interesting, as he gets to be the chosen one and what life is like for him. Of course, we all know that Green Lantern is really Hal Jordan. He's the one and only. So we can all just...
You mispronounced Guy Gardner.
And then in Jeff Johns' book, he puts a little bit more... Let me see if I get this right, because I just got done with this. But we deal... God, this book is big. We deal with the fight with Sinestro and his Quardian troops in this first run. You deal with Sinestro and some of the early stuff going on with the Guardians and the Manhunters, but it's an excellent series. I believe the second, if I'm remembering this right, the second one is what introduces the emotional spectrum. Am I right in that?
They hint heavily at it in this one.
In the first one?
They hint at it.
Yeah, the second one it's introduced, right?
Right, and I think Atrocitus is in this one, isn't he?
In this first one?
Yeah.
This has been a while since I read this.
I don't remember which issues are collected in there, but I could tell you.
Because Atrocitus first appears in Secret Origin.
Okay. Let's see. Secret Files? Secret Origin? Let's see. This has Green Lantern Rebirth, Green Lantern Corps Recharge, Green Lantern 1 through 25, Green Lantern Corps 14 through 18, Sales of the Sinestro Corps, Superman Prime, Green Lantern Sinestro Special, Green Lantern Secret Files, and Green Lantern Sinestro Corps Secret Files.
I think that story arc is in the second volume.
Okay.
I'm trying to see if it just give me 1 second. But I'm just trying to check if the Sins of the Star Sapphire arc was in there or not.
Amir is saying no, Atrocitus is in volume 2. I'll take his word on it because he's been reading.
So.
Yeah. The first volume, I think, ends, like the first omnibus, I believe, ends with Sinestro Corps Wars.
Right.
Yeah.
And then right after Sinestro Corps War,
Blackest Night, and that ends volume 2.
Well, right after that, there's a lot of lead-in to Blackest Night, like kind of aftermath stuff from Sinestro Corps War before they introduce. They do the Secret Origins arc, and then they do an arc kind of about the Star Sapphires, and then there's the Rage of the Red Lanterns, and there's Agent Orange, and then after Agent Orange came Blackest Night.
Yeah, and
all of that is in that second volume.
Right, and we get introduced into that emotional spectrum, which was controversial to me because as somebody that grew up with just one Green Lantern, who dealt mostly with Earth, that now you're getting into the cosmos and different colors representing the spectrum, and I thought, who's the Pink Lantern? Why is there a Blue Lantern? How come there's got to be an Indigo Lantern? What's all this about? Why does it have to be? And I think Jeff Johns does a great job of creating and interweaving these characters, making them interesting. I love Atrocitus, and I love the Larfleeze Christmas special, where
that's great.
He thinks Christmas is the greatest. He's the lantern of avarice, and he thinks Christmas is the greatest holiday ever because you just get. And that was one of the most fun one-shots. I managed to grab a small statue of Larfleeze and his cat and his lantern off of eBay that I put in front of my GL binds, and I love Larfleeze and Bleeze. Those are my two favorite colored lanterns. But it's great cosmic space opera because as somebody that grew up with Green Lantern primarily dealing with stuff on Earth and the problems, it's all in space. Everything happens in space, and your sectors, and you have all these wars and fights and regular things involve sectors, 8972B with the diamond-shaped GL versus all these other bad guys. And there's so many cool, interesting lanterns, yellow and green, that fight each other in the Sinestro one. It must have been a blast to draw those, because there's literally hundreds of lanterns on a page that you can look at and enjoy. And the artist is just thinking of all kinds of ways of creating life forms. There's a sentient virus who turns out to be like the most deadly lantern, or maybe he's a sentient bacteria. I can't remember. Of course, we've got Mogo, the planet, who Alan Moore invented, but who turns out to be the sort of the healing core of the Green Lantern Corps. A lot is done with Green Lantern that, growing up, Green Lantern was just a sort of interesting comic that was okay. It was no Flash, but it was still interesting. But Jeff Johns really turned this into, I hate to say, I always say this, but a multi-layered kind of fun read that just gets you, he does get you emotionally involved, but he just makes it really fun to see what you can do with the concept of, I mean, from sentient bacteria, virus, all the way up to a planet that's a Green Lantern, and everything in between. Cats, dogs, porcupines, whatever, they've all got a ring. I think it's brilliant, and I love it, and it's something that I would recommend to anybody wanting to find out about Cosmic DC.
It's the greatest Green Lantern run that's probably ever been written. I'm pretty confident in saying it's probably the greatest. Granted, I've never read much of Green Lantern before Jeff Johns' run, but it's largely regarded as the run of Green Lantern. It's like you say, he does so much with the characters. Just the introduction of the color spectrum alone, which I believe nobody else thought of that before Jeff Johns, because it's pretty much right there in your face. And I think all of this kind of just stemmed out of like a one-shot issue that Alan Moore wrote way back in the 70s or 80s or something like that. It's crazy.
The one that featured Mogo?
I believe that was it.
No, not that one. The Mogo, there's two.
It's two issues.
Mogo, and one of them talked about Ismail and the people that were there, but it had nothing to do with the colors.
Mm.
It was more the prophecy of the Blackest Night.
Yeah, that the prophecy came from there.
Oh, right.
And they
Blackest
showed.
Night.
I don't believe that they showed you what's it called, Arquillo, in there, but they talked about his some of the other people who were on Yzmal that were like prisoners on that planet. Mm-hmm. But there's also a third Green Lantern story by Alan Moore, which focuses on I forget his name, but he's the blind Green Lantern, so he doesn't know what color is. He doesn't know what a lantern is. So instead, he has the F-sharp bell.
Oh, yeah.
Lantern.
That sounds like something Alan Moore would write.
Yeah, I think that's in Blackest Night. Isn't this the character here?
Huh?
Can you see that?
I'm not even looking. Yeah.
Oh. You have to look to see what I'm showing you, dude. Yeah, she puts a ring on his finger, and that's when the when they do the F-sharp bell thing.
No, I mean, he also does a lot of things, like he gets rid of the weakness to yellow and stuff like that. That was something that was plaguing Green Lantern for a while.
That was the dumbest weakness.
Yeah.
Yellow.
And he does something at the end of Sinestro Corps War where you think the good guys win, but then you realize they might not necessarily have win, which just left my jaw on the floor like, oh, okay. Sinestro kind of comes out on top a little bit on this.
Yeah. And then
I
there's
think if you know the moment I'm talking about.
yeah, and then there's a living evil city. I thought that was really cool.
Oh man, one of my favorite moments is I think you need a recharge
Yeah.
with the power battery. Oh,
Right.
I stood up and applauded. Oh my gosh, that was so good.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Alan Moore invented the F-sharp bell, and he also introduced Mogo, which I thought was a great story where the guy was looking for Mogo on the planet the whole time, and then that's where it turns out, spoilers, that Mogo is the Green Lantern, and Mogo doesn't socialize. Oh wait, who is it? Bolfunga the Unrelenting. Yeah, Mogo doesn't socialize. Told by Tomar Ree.
I love Tomari. Tomari,
Yeah.
Tomari.
Birdface. So, yeah, I'm surrounded by a stack of books that I've just been pulling and sitting down, which I love. I love comic books. I really do.
Do you want me to go?
Go ahead.
Go
Let
for
it?
Yep, go for it, dude.
I don't know how I'm gonna top that. So, because Jess is really good at summing up this stuff. I'm pretty terrible at it. I'm gonna start with Jason Aaron's Thor: God of Thunder.
Ooh.
Absolutely love this series. I was reading this in singles when it was coming out. One of my favorite Thor runs of all times. I know a lot of people say they love Walter Simonson, they love the J. Michael Straczynski run, all that stuff. I love this run. I think it's fantastic stuff. Essentially, what you are getting is that you are getting three versions of Thor. You're getting young Thor, who is brash, he's abrasive, he's kind of more in your face, he's really hot-headed. You're getting the Thor we all know and love, who's, at the peak of his prowess. He's intelligent, he's very well thought out, he's a warrior, he's got Mjolnir, and you are getting old King Thor, who is my personal favorite. I love old King Thor in here. And basically the story centers around this character called the God Butcher. And the God Butcher is going across the cosmos, and he is hunting down these different gods, and he is killing them. And basically what this is Thor chasing this guy down across centuries, and you see young Thor face him, and then you see it flashes forward to middle-aged Thor, and he faces him, and then old King Thor has to deal with him in certain ways. And I absolutely love it. It is a badass run. At a certain point, they actually team up together, all three Thors, and they take on the God Butcher. And villains are hard. Villains are hard these days to actually come up with and kind of create and actually have them have a lasting appeal and a lasting stand and a lasting effect on a character. I would argue the God Butcher is probably one of those characters that in the past 5 years, what Jason Aaron has done with him, especially recently when you see the fallout of unworthy Thor and all that stuff, and you figure out why he's unworthy and all that stuff, I would say that Gore, the God Butcher, is hands down one of those characters that is going to last a really long time. The art duties in here, for the most part, are handled by Asad Ribic. And if you've ever seen Asad Ribic's art, oh my God,
Beautiful.
Gorgeous stuff.
Beautiful.
This guy was born to do Thor. The art, it just screams heavy metal. There are certain panels that I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's absolutely stunning. It's absolutely gorgeous. And one of the things that I like about this so much is that you really don't need to have any prior knowledge to the character of Thor to jump in and enjoy this. You don't really need to know anything. It's perfectly fine. You can just start reading this because it was part of the Marvel Now launch lineup a few years ago, and you can run with it. There is a bit of a slog for about, I think, 5 issues involving Malekith, which I did not care for. I believe that was more because of the fact that the Thor Dark World, I believe that's what the second movie is called, was coming out at the time that was being printed, so Jason Aaron probably had to kind of shoehorn Malekith into it. But after that arc is done, Jason Aaron jumps back, and he keeps going with the story that you can tell he wants to tell, and he just runs the ball with it all the way through. It's fantastic stuff. And there's a moment in this run involving Galactus that made my mouth go, oh, shit. That was really, really fucking cool. So there's that. Anybody?
I must suck because I liked the Malekith little arc.
Did you? I didn't care for it.
I don't know. I read the whole thing. I read the whole thing and enjoyed it. I agree that with people that say God Butcher, the first thing is better than the second volume a little bit. But God Butcher is so great that anything that comes after it is going to pale in comparison. And I think what came after was really, really good. But I think God Butcher was just so incredible. I don't think he could top it.
Yeah.
It's like modern classic status.
What was that?
It's got God Butcher arc is like got the modern classic status already. Like it's one that people refer to when people ask for, like, you know, they say, what's a good Thor book or what's a good modern Marvel book? Like, people point to God Butcher as one of the absolute best stories. Because it is accessible because of the fact that, like, you really don't need to know much about Thor to read it. And it has a really good wrap up, but it's rewarding to keep reading his run because the later stuff in the Thor run that he's doing now with female Jane Foster Thor calls back to the that God Butcher arc. So you can stop right there and just finish reading it at God Butcher, or you can keep going and keep enjoying it. It makes it, that's what makes it so great. And it was just one like year-long storyline that was a continuing plot. It reminded me of, you know, kind of how comics were written before, where it wasn't, you know, 5 or 6 issue arcs that were very self-contained, with very little cross into the next arc. It was open and flowing and conducive to just pick it up and go, or to continue on. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I really dug about this was because Jason Aaron expands the mythos of Thor so much by introducing all of these different gods. There's the bomb god. There's all of these different gods out there. And he's able to keep it familiar because there are certain writers that they'll expand on a mythos, they'll introduce all of these obscure gods and things like that. And they kind of lose sight of it, and it becomes a little bit muddied and confusing. Not once throughout this run did I feel that. I felt it was straightforward. It was all the way through. Every god that was killed or every god that was introduced had a purpose in it, and it was just great. Such a great run overall. But like you said, this is going to be one of those runs where a few years down the line, where if you got a friend who's like, hey, I want to start with Thor, or even today, hey, I want to start with Thor, or where should I start? You point to them with this one. It's a perfect modern day start, and I'm willing to bet that we'll get an omnibus of the whole damn thing once it's all finished.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I mean, and I'm looking forward to it. I could easily see all the God Butcher stuff being in one omnibus, then the female Thor stuff being another one, and then whatever he's got right now going on being another one.
I think they'll probably wait until it's wrapped, just because we don't know how long the current Mighty Thor run with female Thor is going on. But I've thought about ways, like, if the Mighty Thor run goes on for just long enough, they could do, you know, the first one, like you said, could be issues 1 through 25, and I think there was an annual for that God of Thunder series, plus the Thor Loki 10th World miniseries that was connected to Original Sin, and then maybe the Thor's miniseries from Secret Wars, since it deals with male Thor rather than female Thor mostly. And then possibly a little material from maybe just like excerpts from Original Sin, just to show Thor's story how it proceeded. And then in a next volume, we get the 8 issues of Thor that happened before Secret Wars, and then whatever we have of the Mighty Thor series that's going on right now, if that series is not too long. Otherwise, if that current running series is too long, they can just shove that 8-issue adjectiveless Thor series into the first omnibus, because it wouldn't be too big for it.
I think you have to include the original sin. I'm not sure if what happens to him is in the main title or if it's a tie-in book, but I think you have to throw that in there.
It's right at the end of the main title.
It's in the main title? I never read Original Sin.
So
you make sure you don't say anything about anything because I haven't read anything.
No. You would have to include like pages of it because most of Original Sin has nothing to do with Thor himself.
Yeah.
So because of what happens with certain characters in the female Thor book, I would want to include several. If I was designing the omnibus, I would want to include several pages from various issues that featured these characters because the events from that event do play into what happens with some characters in the later series, especially the fact that him becoming unworthy happens in Original Sin.
Right.
This is like the last issue. So there's a lot of material, probably a good chunk of pages that I would want to toss in there.
I could see it being spread out over 3. Right now, as it stands right now, we don't know how long he's going to go, but I could see it over 3.
And right now he's doing a pretty epic little it's like the Shi'ar Asgard war. It's pretty awesome.
Is it really? I can't wait till they collect that stuff.
Brings back Quentin Quire in there.
Yes, I love Quentin Quire. That's a character that doesn't get enough play for me. I love Quentin. The next one that is on my list. This will probably come as no surprise to anybody. Actually, I've just started my reread of this. Fantastic Four by Jonathan Hickman, especially. I have criticized Hickman at times for being very heavy on plot and kind of lacking sometimes on character. This is one of those books that I think he balances it out really well, especially what he does with Reed Richards' son. I love with what he does with Franklin. I love this run. It's so much fun, and it's such a blast, and it is what the Fantastic Four should be. Basically, the title starts out with Reed Richards going, I'm going to fix everything. I'm going to fix every problem in the world, and I'm going to figure out how, which leads him to discovering the Council of Reeds, which leads him to a whole bunch of other stuff, which leads to my dog barking because he's on the porch right now. Hold on. Hold on.
Time to shoot that dog into space.
Don't tempt me. But like I was saying, the Fantastic Four. Where was I? Okay, he discovers the Council of Reeds, and it just goes so far from there. This harkens back to a time where Jack Kirby, Stan Lee were not afraid to just go crazy with something, go wild, and just have these really cool abstract concepts. There is one moment in particular in here which, it just as a Fantastic Four fan, had me going, holy shit, where one character calls out and says something to Galactus that just made me go, oh my gosh. It was awesome. I love this run so much, and I'm being super quick about it. I highly recommend you do pick this one up. Halfway through it, Spider-Man joins the team because something happens to one of the characters. Really, really fun stuff. And I actually really wish Hickman would write a Spider-Man series because I personally think he's got a really good voice for the character, especially when they introduce him, and he's got his wit down to a T.
Nice.
All right. There's that. And here's the little darling of mine that I have mentioned countless times on here that I know will be no surprise to anybody.
It's going to be a surprise to me.
Fury.
Oh, no, it's not.
No, it's
it's awesome.
Written by Rick Remender with art by Tony Moore and Jerome Pena. Yes, the Jerome Pena. Right off the bat, this book has a hell of an art team behind it, like Jerome Opeña and Tony Moore. And this was before Jerome Opeña and Tony Moore were Jerome Opeña and Tony Moore. This was when they were first started breaking out, if I'm not mistaken. I think Tony Moore, I think he just started doing Walking Dead around this time when it was coming out. I think, or he was in the process of it or something like that. But Fear Agent centers around the character of Heath. I can't remember his last name right now. I apologize. But Heath is basically the last of a group of people called Fear Agents. What has happened is that the world has been overrun by these beings called Tatalians. And Heath Houston miserably failed to defend them. And now he is what is known as an exterminator. And it follows him and his adventures trying to defeat the Tatalians. I love this book. It is also one of the most self-deprecating books I think I've ever read.
Yeah.
There are some moments of dialogue in here where I go, yeah, that sounds like it hits kind of really close to home for Rick Remender. If you know anything about Rick Remender, he's dealt with certain issues, mental illnesses, and things like that. So it comes as no surprise, but there are some moments where he's genuinely saying, I don't feel like I'm a good man. I think I'm a terrible person, all this other stuff. Heath is not perfect. Far from being the perfect hero in any story. He messes up quite a lot, and including one big fumble that you find out at close to the end of this volume where I went, wow, you screwed up real big. Like, you dropped the ball really, really badly. But if you are looking for a really great sci-fi series, if you're looking for something really fun that's along the lines of, I would say, maybe Firefly in that ballpark, this is definitely the series that I would recommend you pick up. The second volume actually has a little bit of an arc that is a sci-fi Western story that is great stuff. It's really fun. It deals with time travel. It deals with doppelgangers. Basically, if it's science fiction, Rick Remender manages to work this in here. And it's kind of sad. This was a series that was getting no love when it was coming out. But now that these hardcovers are being put out, a lot of fans seem to be drawn to it and really dug it.
I had a lot of people before the hardcovers. Like, I bought it in paperback because a ton of people were talking about it.
Is
Like,
one of the issues that he deals with alcoholism?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, no, personally. You said that he deals with, that he writes a lot about his own personal stuff. Do you know if he's an alcoholic at all?
I do not, but I know he's dabbled. He's mentioned before, because I've seen interviews, but he used to dabble in drugs and stuff like that when he was younger, and he's had depression issues. And if you follow him on Twitter, he's very vocal about where he stands on certain things and things like that. I don't know if he was an alcoholic. I can't say that for certain. What I do know is that there are certain moments in here where the dialogue honestly feels like it's coming straight from him.
Well, that's what I thought was interesting, because as an alcoholic, as I am, sometimes this book can be hard to read.
Yeah.
Because he deals with it so realistically and so painfully that I mean, I enjoyed it, I loved it, but I did struggle a few times because he makes the drinking so painfully real that it was a bit of a struggle for me to get through it, just because it brought up so many bad memories. But
I had flashbacks of my own father. Like, there were some moments there where I was like, yeah, that was my dad. Yeah, there are some moments where I was like, wow, that looks like my father.
Yeah, that's a sign of somebody who can really write, that brings up those raw emotions in you and me that he does.
But I would recommend, if you were going to get this, guys, the library editions are phenomenal. And for the price that you are getting, it's only like $30 for the library editions. And you know anything about Dark Horse, they put out quality products when they do their hardcovers. So I absolutely recommend you pick these up.
Yep, me too. You can't go wrong with those books.
And I guess if you want, I could throw out some honorable mentions real quick, because I'm just thinking of stuff off the top of my head. I won't go into detail, but Omega Men, honorable mention. I've seen that posted a lot in the chat. I can't believe I didn't recommend that one. Of course, Hickman's Avengers has gone went really sci-fi with it. So just some stuff I want to throw out there. Riley?
I didn't pull anything off my shelves because I'm fucking lazy. But yeah, I believe I've read everything that y'all mentioned, and I agree. Like each of those is a great spacey sci-fi series. And Jess said he wasn't really up on Marvel Cosmic. I've at the very least I've read like everything from Annihilation forward until today. So I can show at the least I've got my Guardians and Cosmic shelf up here.
Go off.
Oh yeah,
With my
Guardian figures.
Part Marvel Cosmic Epic with Annihilation through Realm of Kings, my Guardians set of figures, and then the Guardians Omnis by it's the Solo Classic, Valentino and Bendis Volume 1.
I like the theme of this shelf. That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
I worked hard on it.
I can tell.
That just reminded me I need to go to, not Kinko's, Staples, because somebody sent me the file for the War of King's Omnibus to have it match, have all 3 sets match for the Dust Jacket.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of Marvel's Cosmic line. I first started reading all that stuff back a few years before I started like the channel and everything. Back when I lived in Houston still, because people online kept talking about how like, oh, Marvel's Cosmic stuff is like the best stuff that they're publishing, all that kind of stuff. And this was kind of right before the Thanos Imperative was happening. And so I really wanted to get into it, but even back then, most of that run was out of print. Like, it was hard to find the paperbacks for Annihilation, and most of Guardians of the Galaxy and Nova were like impossible to find. So it was one of the first out of print series that I really hunted down, and I went to like every shop that I could, and I looked at every website that I could, and I wound up getting the entirety of everything, except I was still missing 1 volume of Nova, which I never found, but thankfully they printed that material in the Omnis that we have now, so I'm good there. But like, I remember collecting all that, and I remember having all of it before I read any of it. And once I started reading it from the beginning, from like Annihilation Volume 1 all the way through to Annihilator's Earthfall, I couldn't put any of that stuff down. Like, I was so engrossed in that run. The characters were just interesting to me because they were mostly characters I hadn't read before. You know, I didn't know anything about Rocket Raccoon and Groot and Star-Lord and Gamora and Drax and stuff. I knew some of these characters from like appearances, and like Drax from classic like Infinity events and stuff like that, but he was a different type of Drax. And Gamora too. She was in some of those, but she's very different. And then there's other members of the team, of course, that were there then that are not there now. And everything was just so interesting to me, like Quasar and the Captain Marvel characters and the Wraiths and all that kind of stuff. Like, and then the villains that they were using mostly were ones that I wasn't too familiar with at that time. You know, I knew a little bit about Annihilus. I didn't know much about Phalanx. And, you know, just this huge, then that goes into this cosmic epic war between the Inhumans, whom I also just had a small bit of knowledge about because all I'd really read was the Paul Jenkins run, and then the Shi'ar, which I knew just from classic X-Men, and then all of a sudden this ragtag team of characters that I didn't really know before are stuck in the middle of it with the Nova Corps. And it was just one of the best things I had read in such a long time because it was different and it was cool. But one of my favorite parts about it was throughout this whole thing, throughout this whole run, they kind of comment, the characters do, on how like little the things are that are going on back on Earth. Like, I think it's Peter Quill or someone else mentions the civil war that's happening on Earth, and they're like, oh, the superheroes are fighting, and they just kind of mention it in passing, and then they're like, we've got bigger shit to deal with. And it was so crazy to me because I'd read all that other, like the stuff that was happening on Earth already. I'd read Civil War, I'd read most of those ongoing titles that were happening around that time, but I'd never read any of the cosmic stuff. And it's so much bigger. And it's like, these characters who are not your A-listers, they're not the most well-known characters, are the ones that are dealing with these huge, epic threats. Not Thor, not Iron Man, not Captain America, not Spider-Man. They're dealing with small potatoes. They're fighting against themselves because they're immature. But these characters are saving everyone and everything in existence. And that was just the thing that really, like, in the back of my mind, that was one of the things that made it such a good read. So I highly recommend that stuff. I know that now we have the Guardians movies to thank for the fact that they released all of these books in Omnibus edition, and we're pretty much getting every and any Guardians of the Galaxy material in Omnibus at this point. So I highly recommend picking those things up. I haven't read the Jim Valentino volume yet. I've heard really great things.
I want to read it.
And it's gorgeous. I love the artwork in there. I flipped through it several times. I have read the Bendis material. The Bendis material is basically, if you enjoyed the movie, it's just the movie Guardians. But it doesn't have much of a overarching story. It's like very arc by arc. They're facing off against, this villain, then that villain, then this villain. So if you enjoyed the movie and you enjoyed the way that the character's written there, then you'll probably wind up enjoying Bendis' stuff, but don't count on it having a conclusion. Because even when it did conclude, it was very unrelated to like much of what he had been doing. It's not like he pulls a Jason Aaron, where Jason Aaron usually wraps up his longer runs by bringing in like everything that he used and just throwing it at you. Bendis just kind of fizzles. So it's at least got some good artwork and some fun dialogue. And for the size of the book, it's a really decent price because it's like a huge fucking, I think it's got about 50 issues for $100 cover price. So you can't go too wrong with that. But the bigger star of the cosmic books since Marvel Now are a bunch of the solo books. So I don't own any of them physically, but basically if you enjoyed any of the particular characters that were in the movie, you're going to probably enjoy their solo title. But I especially want to recommend Star-Lord by Chip Zdarsky, who Chip is the artist on Sex Criminals. He's got an amazing sense of humor. Anything he writes to me is gold. He wrote Howard the Duck for a couple years, and it was a fantastic little series. And he wrote Star-Lord for like 6 issues, and it was so fun and just a great take on this character because he's stuck on Earth, and now he becomes a bartender, and there's a random team up with like Wolverine and Daredevil or something like that in there. So it's a really great little run. So whenever the paperback comes out, I'd highly recommend it.
Oh, it's not out yet?
I don't think it's out yet. No, it's not, because there's still one more issue that needs to happen. It's an annual. That's
Okay.
It crosses over with She-Hulk, right? With Charles Soule's She-Hulk, because he lives in She-Hulk's building that she ends up buying out or something.
No, are
Am I thinking
you
of
talking
something
about Howard the Duck?
Yeah, or am I thinking of something?
Howard the Duck had a brief. The end of She-Hulk
Right.
had a scene where Howard's buying, but I was talking about Star-Lord.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, on the topic of Howard the Duck, that was a really fun series. That at the end of She-Hulk, she's leaving her building, and then Howard is moving in. So that was kind of fun. But also, if you enjoyed Drax, there was a wrestler, CM Punk, actually wrote Drax with Cullen Bunn for like 11 issues. It was pretty fun, not that amazing. Rocket Raccoon has had several series. The initial couple being by Scotty Young. The second series was Rocket Raccoon and Groot, and it eventually got taken over by some other creators. I don't remember who the writer was. And the third Rocket Raccoon series was by Matthew Rosenberg, who also writes Kingpin and writes some books for Black Mask Comics. That was a pretty fun little run. There's a currently going on Gamora short series that's pretty decent, and Groot had his own 4-issue series, which was pretty fun as well. Going into current books in Marvel, Rocket has a new series that just started up, written by Al Ewing, and Groot has a series coming up written by Chris Hastings called I Am Groot. So if you're still a fan of those characters, there's a lot of good material out there for them. Other cosmic stuff, that was really the main thing I was going to talk about, was a lot of Guardians related things, because we're coming out of that second movie and going into another era of their comics.
Isn't it interesting that such unknown C-list characters like Guardians was such a, well, I mean, to the general public, such a huge blockbuster, 2 movies in a row. A lot of people, it's their top superhero movie, and the bedrock franchise that helped Marvel get on the map, Fantastic Four, cannot find its way out of the bathroom making a movie. It is just utter disaster. And you've got, you know, that was the main book in the 60s, along with Spider-Man, that put Marvel on the map, and they just cannot get that right. But Guardians, with these unknown characters, just blew up completely.
I suspect within the next few years they'll get the Fantastic Four back. I
So
can see
this
that.
is strictly a studio problem. It's not a character problem.
No, this is a studio issue. They don't know what to do with them.
Right.
Fox has no clue what to do with the Fantastic Four, which is a shame, because the Fantastic Four, it's Marvel's first family. It's the building block for the Marvel universe. Like, a lot of really crazy and cool stuff came out of that book, and it came from Jack Kirby's mind.
Right.
You know, you get Galactus, Black Panther, the Watchers, Annihilus. The list goes on and on. Out of
Those
what
sucky Inhumans.
the sucky Inhumans.
I'm just doing that to jam up Geo. I'm kidding. I love the Inhumans.
Namor as we know him today, you know, because
Yeah.
Namor was a character before, but he was reintroduced. Doctor Doom, the Red Menace, which is one of my favorite villains.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's interesting that they can't get out of their own way with that.
Yeah, it's a shame.
I don't know I know that Feige has mentioned, like, explicitly that it's his goal to wind up getting everything back under Marvel Studios so they can have, you know, a huge movie universe. And I don't see them getting X-Men back anytime soon, just because they're still pushing things out, and they've been, like, more or less quality. Out of the 3 last movies that came out, Deadpool, X-Men Apocalypse, and Logan, 2 of them have been acclaimed very well, and they've done pretty well in the box office too.
One of which that I will say will probably go for an Oscar nom next year. I would bank that Logan will probably get an Oscar nom next year.
Really?
I would put a bet that it at least gets an Oscar.
Let's bet.
Okay.
For what? Best Picture, Director, Storyline?
Hugh Jackman for Best Actor.
Hugh Jackman. Okay, what's the wager? Because I think they're just gonna, even though I love that movie, think it's totally Oscar worthy. I think they look at it as a superhero movie and they're gonna ignore it.
Heath Ledger got Best Supporting Actor, but
that's true.
It can be argued, though, he got that because he died.
He died. Yeah. What do you want to bet?
Riley chooses what we read and review.
Okay.
I'll have to think about that.
Well, you have a long time to think.
We'll see.
Are you good with that?
Sure.
Are you good with that, Jess? I think you could get best actor. Not win, but it'll get a nom.
Just nomination. Okay. Yeah. I'm saying nothing against the movie because I loved it and I loved him. But I just think there's a bias against superhero movies. So
there's undoubtedly a bias against them.
I just won't. I don't know. I'm happy to take your money or your book or whatever I'm taking. I'm happy to have your hamburger, hot dog, burger dog at Pepito's or wherever it is.
Hey, I might be losing 2 bets to you because apparently Wonder Woman's tracking pretty well on Twitter. Some fans have said. So you might be winning twice.
Well, if it winds up being good, that means I don't have to stab anyone.
Good. We're going to save a life then, too.
I explicitly said I might have to stab someone if fucking another DC movie sucks balls.
To kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, I kind of hope they don't get the X-Men back. I love what they're doing with their rated R stuff right now.
I just don't think that we need to have such a huge cinematic universe with all of those characters. And if they did get the X-Men and shove them in with all the Avengers and cosmic characters, they're going to have to just like completely reintroduce them for this universe like they're doing for Spider-Man. And they can't just be like, oh yeah, there's X-Men, they've been here the whole time. They have to figure out a good way of doing that. So I don't think it would be good to do that, period. Until like they reboot the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I can't think of a good way to introduce mutant characters in there.
No, it wouldn't work. Like all these years, nobody's noticed.
But yeah, I don't know with the Fantastic Four. I think that they might be able to get them back, and then I know that there's other properties like they're still not 100%. They don't have 100% hold on the Hulk, so they might get that, so they can get more of the characters. They might regain like Namor isn't even at Fox. Namor is like Paramount or something. So they're gonna have to get him back.
Paramount's in business still?
I don't know.
Fox doesn't have Namor. Yeah. I just want them to get Galactus, Annihilus, and Silver Surfer back.
Yeah.
They can have their Fantastic Four back. I'm actually really happy with what they're doing with the X-Men. Granted, wasn't crazy about Age of Apocalypse, but still pretty happy.
I wasn't either.
What about Age of Apocalypse? You didn't like it?
I did not care for it.
Mm-mm. I didn't need Ivan Ooze fighting the X-Men.
God, they dropped the ball so bad on that.
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. Now, was Olivia Munn Psylocke?
Mm-hmm.
She rocks really hard. She is awesome.
My girl just said she's gorgeous.
Yeah, she's good. I didn't mind that movie at all. I thought I was surprised. I don't know. I like that movie. I've liked all the X-Men movies.
As far, I guess I have a couple more cosmic things I should talk about. Kind of got off topic.
Oh yeah.
We're talking cosmic movies.
What was I gonna say? Oh, of course, there's a lot of y'all know that I'm a big X-Men fan, but I'm not going to talk about X-Men for 50 million years. But basically, probably the best cosmic material from the X-Men is going to be like all the Shi'ar material from early in Claremont's run around maybe the second Omnibus. That's where you get Phoenix and Dark Phoenix, and there's stuff with the Starjammers and the Brood. All of that stuff is super interesting. Then as well, what else did I have to mention? I mean, y'all took a lot of the, like, Jess talked about all the Green Lantern stuff, so I don't really have anything to say on that. Valiant fans, of course, have Exo Manowar. I've read the first year or so of that book and thought it was really fun. Unfortunately, Robert Venditti can't catch lightning in a bottle twice because his Green Lantern run was not quite as good. It has gotten better, though, so at least there's that. But Exo Manowar is basically like if you take Thor and give him an Iron Man suit, then that's that character in a nutshell. And then there's a ton of Alien, Predator, and Prometheus comics, especially coming out of Dark Horse right now. I haven't actually read them yet, even though I have been given a couple of books because I've expressed how huge of a fan I am of those film franchises. but they look super duper awesome, and I'm really looking forward to. I mean, one of the reasons that we decided to talk about cosmic stuff, the new Alien movie. I'm hoping that it's at least enjoyable. Going into it, hopefully this weekend. My only problem with it is that Megan apparently refuses to watch it with me because she says that any of the Alien movies give her like panic attacks. So I probably have to go by myself.
That is sad.
Yeah, it made me super sad. I was, because she at first was saying like, no, I don't want to see it, and I thought she just wasn't interested. And I was like, well, it's getting pretty decent reviews, and like, it looks good. And then she's like, no, I can't. Like, I can't watch it. Whenever you took me to see Prometheus, I couldn't fucking watch that movie. And it's like a bunch of just some of the aliens that are in there, like face huggers and stuff like that. She just can't fucking do it.
Well, take your phone in with you and have me Google Hangout, and I'll sit right in the seat next to you, and we'll watch it together.
Just prop the phone on the seat.
Yeah. You won't have to buy me popcorn or anything.
It's a cheap date.
And then if you talk, I'll sue you like that other dude.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? We are covering that on the news tonight. Like, we have to. That is like the top story we're covering on the news.
I gotta find that again.
Oh god, that is so sad.
All right. Paramount still a theater, studio. I understand.
Yeah, Paramount got Arrival. Somebody just posted that.
Yeah, John did.
I love the Arrival.
Yeah, I loved Arrival too. I loved Arrival.
And me and Gio after Arrival had like a 2-hour conversation where if you read what we wrote, you would swear you would think we were on drugs or something like that after discussing. Ooh, that's right. Hold on. Yeah, I forgot one last thing. James Stokoe is drawing Alien right now. You should be reading that. Because it's James Stokoe, and his art is incredible.
I feel like his art didn't really work as well as it could have for that.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Did you read that issue?
I have not. I've seen preview pages online, though, and it looks
like
great.
It's still James Stokoe artwork, so obviously you got to look at it. But it doesn't really work for Alien because it's like his work is a little bit cartoony. Like it's overly detailed. Like it's basically it's maximalist artwork.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, it's not. Alien shouldn't really do that. I don't know. Like you can have maximalist art for Alien, but usually you want something that's more realistic or gritty and not the cartoony work that he does. So it doesn't really match with that universe. And then the coloring that they used was all like oranges and reds and yellows, which is neat if you're trying to portray like emergency type situations, that's kind of what it is. But Alien is always to me very much colder tones because they're in space and the characters are like the alien, the xenomorph is actually like black and dark blue. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It doesn't work as well as it should. His artwork works perfectly for like Godzilla, but it does not work as well for Alien.
I loved Half Century War. That was so good.
I think there's a movement in the chat about talking about Kirby's Fourth World stuff. Since we're getting near the end of this, I would suggest that we cover Fourth World in a discussion completely about Jack Kirby in the next couple of weeks, maybe, as a topic. Just Jack Kirby as a topic. What do you think?
Sorry, I didn't catch that. I was talking to my girl. She was telling me about the laundry.
I offered you $1 million if you could answer the question I asked.
Christ.
There was a movement in the chat to talk about Kirby's Fourth World stuff, and I said maybe we can because we're at the end of this episode, maybe we can devote a whole episode to Kirby and talk about Fourth World stuff in that.
I'm gonna be honest, I've never read any Fourth World material.
Well, you've read other Kirby stuff, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm just suggesting Kirby as a topic, and I can talk about Fourth World stuff.
Oh, I love Kirby. I'm gonna risk us going off on another tangent, but where can I start off with Fourth World stuff? I've always been fascinated by it. The New Gods omnibuses that came out, but I think one of them is out of print, right?
There's isn't there a New Gods omnibus coming out? Isn't there a whole Fourth World omnibus coming out that has like the first 20 issues of like Mr. Miracle and New Gods and something, or maybe what is it
coming out that was solicited to come out like late this year? That has everything.
Yeah.
Oh really?
All 4 of the smaller books, all in one big ass fucking book.
Really?
Forever People and Mr. Miracle and New Gods, and the fourth one. Why can't I think of the fourth one? What's the fourth one? Forever People, Mr. Miracle, New Gods.
Jimmy was writing Mr. Miracle.
The other one, Jimmy Olsen was part of it.
Jimmy Olsen is a New God?
No, I mean
That's where Darkseid made his first appearance, was in a Jimmy Olsen comic.
He was part of the Fourth World, because it's Fourth World is the whole like crossover of books that he was writing.
Yeah. Yeah. So that would be where you should start. I mean, I'm going to pick that book up for sure. That's going to be one giant book. It'll be great.
I can't. I've always been fascinated by it, but I've never had a chance to pick it up.
Oh yeah, my first childhood crush on a comic book character was Big Barda, as drawn by Kirby back when I was 13.
Oh, I love Kirby.
Yeah, I still love Big Barda. Okay, so good. Well, there we have a topic coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it should probably wait until that book is released, because I'm not going to wind up having a chance to have read that kind of stuff until then.
Same.
Okay. OMAC. I don't think that was one of the first 4. Commandy and OMAC came afterwards.
You know, the new 52 OMAC was not bad. That little mini run that they had going on. I didn't mind it. I thought it was pretty good.
Riley, your response. That's hilarious.
What?
You told somebody that you can lick my butt.
Yep.
Well, this guy's really passionate about.
Yeah, he certainly is.
About Stoko B. Is this Stoko on an account? Like, did we really offend him? Oh.
That's funny. John's who I had the huge Led Zeppelin discussion about their singles being in the top 20 back in the day a couple months ago. He's a huge Howard Stern fan, so we always go back and forth.
I also told him that he will see my rectum, so.
That is true.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Just Jimmy Olsen, okay.
I told you guys it's Jimmy Olsen. I hadn't even read it. and I knew that.
Yeah, I can see the I can see why I couldn't come up with a fourth, because I never really considered Jimmy Olsen a Fourth World book, but now I remember, yeah, the Darkseid was introduced in it. It was such an odd thing for Jimmy Olsen to be a New Gods book. That's when Carmine Infantino was the editor-in-chief, and he was such a dick to Jack Kirby. He erased Superman had to look the exact same in all books, and he didn't like Kirby's Superman, and he had all his Superman facial things in Jimmy Olsen erased and redone by a different artist. I don't know who the artist was, but it's definitely, you don't ever see Superman by Kirby. You see an erased version and redone by some other artist. Can you imagine treating an artist that way, like Jack Kirby? That is just shockingly shocking to treat an original creator like Jack Kirby like that. And from a fellow artist. I mean, God, Carmine Infantino, may he rest in peace, was a dick about that. Was it Vince Colletta that did the artwork? Yeah, that makes sense. Vince the Eraser Colletta. And G. Stocco is still going on in here.
Right. He's really fanning the flames of this.
I mean, it's not my fault that his art doesn't fit Alien. When I think Alien and the Alien movies, I think cold, and I think dark, and I think scary. And when I think James Stocco artwork, I think extremely detailed, kinetic drawings that are maybe sometimes creepy, but not scary. Like it's not a match made in heaven like I hoped it was going to be, because the cover that he provided had all of those things.
Who's the colorist? Because
I'm not sure if he does his own colors, or Chewy, can you fucking quit it, dude? He's like nudging my arm away from my keyboard. But like, I don't know if he colors his own work or if it's someone else, but it's not conducive to Alien comics. Like,
yeah,
unless your vision of Alien comics is for some reason warm and cartoony,
yeah.
In which case I think that you're wrong.
Okay, and from the sound of it, it sounds more like you have more of an issue with the coloring than the pencils. All right.
It's both ways. It's mostly the coloring, but also the fact that he's it's very cartoony looking, like the character, because his work is, I think it's clearly kind of inspired by Japanese artwork, like manga artwork, the way he draws the characters, and it looks like the characters are coming straight out of like Dragon Ball, rather than like something along the lines of Blade of the Immortal. I didn't say H.R. Giger is not detailed. I said that because I went back on saying it's it shouldn't be maximalized. I said that his work does not work because it's more cartoony. I know H.R. Giger is detailed as fuck. I've seen all of his stuff for fucking, what's it called? Dune That Never Happened.
Oh,
that
God.
was amazing.
Oh. Did you ever see that documentary?
Yeah, that's where I saw all that. I watched it, like, I couldn't find a copy with subtitles because I had to download it. So I watched it with like half of, like, most of it being not in English, like in Spanish.
I did the same thing too. I did the exact same. I so desperately wanted to watch the damn movie. I did the exact same thing as you did.
But you can like understand most of it.
Yeah, no. I got like 80% of it. God, there's a documentary out there that is about Jodorowsky's Dune that would have been fucking amazing if it got made. Ugh.
Gio wants to know which color lantern each one of us would be.
Fucking red.
Why don't we let the cat,
I guess so.
decide?
That came out pretty quick.
Yeah, it did.
Fucking red.
I kind of want to see what the chat would say. What do you guys think would be our ring colors?
That's a good idea. Yeah, what colors do you think our rings are? Our Green Lantern rings.
Fucking red.
Come on, let's go. What documentary was that?
Yeah.
About it was
Jodorowsky's Dune.
Oh, okay.
It's basically just he and a bunch of other people talking about the Dune movie that he tried to make that never happened.
Mm.
It would have been incredible. Like he would, I think he said he would have had like the Rolling Stones on it as like
It was
music.
gonna have
Pink Floyd, I think, at one point was on the list. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
David Carradine was gonna play the main character, and it was what's his name? Orson Welles was gonna be like the antagonist.
Orson Welles. Wow.
Yeah, before he was the size of the planet Dune.
No, it was when he was the size, because he was telling stories about how like they had to order a ton of food for the set because he would eat fucking everything.
Oh my god.
Sounds like I better see Jodorowsky's Dune. People are saying it's awesome, besides you guys. Can I get that on Netflix?
If you have the disc service, probably.
Oh, it's not streaming?
No.
No, the documentary, you'd have to probably look somewhere online. I think Amazon has it, though.
Oh, I'd have to buy it?
I just downloaded it off of the torrent site, but again, I wound up fucking having to watch, like, because it's in like German and Spanish and probably French and other stuff, and I only really understand Spanish. So those parts, it's easy to understand. Plus, because Jodorowsky is from Chile, he speaks in the same dialect that my grandparents do, so I understood like everything he said. I was like, all right, dope, cool, I'm down with you.
Oh, wow.
And then it goes over to some stuff like interviews with H.R. Giger, and he's speaking in like, what is he, like Austrian? And it's this, I don't understand the language, I don't understand the accent. I'm like, fuck. So I just stared at his artwork.
So what's the documentary called exactly?
It's just Jodorowsky's Dune.
Okay. I'll add it to the list, but I want to see Prometheus like this weekend because I want to see because I want to see Covenant.
And I want to see you better your life.
I definitely am not a Green Lantern because I have 0 willpower. I can tell you that right now. No willpower.
Yeah, Jess, I'll send you a link to the trailer once we're done here.
For
Jodorowsky's Dune.
Oh, okay, cool. Let's see. Dave is saying it's free on Stars through Amazon.
Is it? Oh, cool. I have that now because of American Gods.
Exact same with me.
Well, maybe it's going to have subtitles this time.
I would hope so.
Yeah, you watched it with no subtitles?
I did.
You saw it with subtitles.
No, I saw it without subtitles because it was a bootleg. It was a streaming copy.
Oh, okay. So like a real copy that the Omnidog would get would be...
You can watch it on Stars streaming.
And it would be subtitled?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. That's great. I'm excited for it now.
I had a compliment on how I pronounced his name.
Yeah, say it again.
Jodorowsky.
Jodorowsky.
It's a soft J, and the W is like a V because he's from Chile, but his father is Polish. It's a Polish name.
Somebody's saying, Gabe says, I'm blue, Riley is green, Jess is violet. I keep hearing Jess is violet from a lot of people.
What is that, love?
Somebody said Riley is the Black Lantern.
The Black Lantern.
Jess is violet. Oh, I got green. Okay. I don't have willpower.
I got no willpower. Is violet love? Is that what the star sapphires are?
Jess is violet. That's what keeps happening. People keep saying you're violet, dude.
They think I'm love?
Yeah.
I'm in love with myself. That's what's love.
It's the best kind of love you can have.
Well, I mean,
no, it's true.
You end every show by saying peace and love. So
well, that is true. And you chime in with hate.
Fuck everybody.
Holy shit! Yeah, you are the Red Lantern.
Yeah, you are. People aren't picking up on that.
Everyone's like, Riley's green, he's strong will. And I'm like, nah, I kind of fucking hate everyone.
This is all just a front. Riley puts up with us for an hour and a half.
Like, after the show, I just go off and I'm like, fuck everyone, I'm going to bed. Fuck the world.
He really just hates us. You should see the conversations we get into after the stream ends. It's pretty bad. No. Riley's one of the nicest guys.
No.
Okay, everybody was quiet. Jess is indigo.
I forget what indigo is.
Somebody says Jess is zebra lantern.
Passion.
It's what passion?
Compassion.
Compassion. Okay. Peace and love. Peace and love. Do we want to take questions, or are we all done?
I'm kind of done. I need to get in bed and start reading.
I'm kind of done, but are you still up for the news show tonight, Jess, or is that too
Yeah,
late?
I need to take like 10 minutes to go see my wife, who I haven't seen all day, but then I can come right back down.
Same.
Okay.
And I know Gabe wanted to join us, so he'll be joining us.
Oh, good. Okay,
There's
good.
a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of movie trailers and stuff like that. So we'll try to make it a tight hour. We'll try to speed through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, well, I always get hyped up from this show, so I always end up staying awake till like 1 a.m., so it shouldn't be a problem.
I probably won't go to bed till about that time too. So
Yeah.
I should go to bed like in about an hour.
Do you
because
work tomorrow?
I wake up at 5.
You work tomorrow?
Yeah, every weekday.
Were you able to like help Gabe out with that whole situation?
He said he's gonna message me whenever it gets closer to that.
Okay. I was just wondering because I might have to pick him up.
As someone who is in that situation, Riley is a big help in that situation.
He
I
got you
also
instantly.
realized that I should have given Jess the like friends and family or the family link instead of the friends link because the friends link is not as big of a discount.
Fuck!
I didn't realize that until afterwards because someone told me.
What the hell?
And he's a manager.
Sleeping in the front of a car. Holy smoke.
Did you really sleep in the front of a rental car today?
Yeah. As I was in the back room of our office, like, and then I got up because one of the guys came back and was like, hey, if you want to take your break now, like, you can do that. I mean, I was already, like, back there for an hour, so it's not like it was anything different. But so I got up and I was like, I'm going to go fucking sleep in a car then because one of the other guys came in and he likes to hang out in the back. And it has an automatic light, so when there's movement, it turns the light on, and I couldn't deal with the light. So I went into the Suburban, and I just leaned back the seat and listened to NPR for an hour and fell asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, NPR will do that.
Yes, it will.
I was enjoying it. It was some interesting discussion about the current political climate and what's going on with the president and all that stuff that, you know, some more information that I would get from just reading Facebook posts, which is usually what I see. I tend to, the only thing I listen to while I'm at work is NPR, like every day.
I have a stack of podcasts like a mile high that I listen to. It's very rare that I don't have like a podcast or something that I need to listen to.
I noticed you're trying to get Tom King on the show.
I was pushing for it. I know he's gonna be at MegaCon, so I'm gonna try and be really cool and ask in a polite way, see if he'd be down for something like that.
Are you going with a press pass?
No, I didn't bother applying this year. I'm gonna try next year. I don't personally don't think I have enough pull yet, so I'll try next year though. Sadly, no. After being denied the last 2 times, I'm like, okay.
Huh.
Would have been
That's
nice.
me and asking for in-stock trade sponsorship.
You got press passes.
Well, I got press passes, but I asked for sponsorships and I never got them.
Oh, well, you did get press passes, though. That's cool.
I am planning to open up hardcover reviews as a website, so I'm going to work on that during the summer. That's my goal.
That's a great idea.
I'm going to have an actual website and stuff like that. So that'll be my goal for the summer. We'll see how that goes.
That is a great idea.
Well, I'm done for the night and my back hurts and I'm getting hungry.
And cranky.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always cranky.
All right, man.
All right, guys. Well, let them know where they can find you.
You can find me, Jess Bragg, on my YouTube show, Omnidogs Vault. Just search Omnidogs Vault and it will pop up. You can also find me as myself on Riley's Facebook page, the Omnibus Collectors Comic Swap and Community Facebook page. Yes, I got it.
Nailed it.
Comic swap, drop, and lock it.
Swap it, drop it, rub it, drop, lock it. Community service page featuring Emily from IST.
Got it.
And
Can we
Louise
put that
herself.
Can we put that in the header featuring Emily from IST? Like on the bottom?
On her birthday, we should do that.
That wouldn't be bad, actually. You can find me at Hardcover Reviews, where I do weekly reviews of hardcovers, trade paperbacks, all that good stuff. It's been really slow. I know that mostly because we are approaching the end of the school year. And once summer hits, I'll be able to spend more time with this. Like I said, I've got plans for a website and all this other stuff. Twitter.com, Hardcover Review, Facebook.com/Hardcover Reviews. And like always, like everybody else, I have a Patreon, Patreon.com/Hardcover Reviews. For as little as $1 a month, you get the Jess Bragg and Hardcover News show that we are going to be recording momentarily after this. And that'll go up later tonight. $5 gets you the show weekly. $1 gets you the show once a month. So yeah, check that stuff out. Plus a whole bunch of other stuff on there.
Right on, man.
You can find me right here explaining to you why James Stokoe's artwork does not fit on an Alien comic, but it would work extremely well for a Metroid comic. I'm just going to put that out there. Go think about it. Go look at his Alien artwork and think, if this was Metroid, this would be better. But it's Alien, so instead, it's out of place. Think about it. Think about it, and you'll see that I'm
Okay,
probably right.
I'll give you it would fit Metroid better.
Especially
It
the
would.
colors and stuff, because commonly Metroid games are not just, I mean, the early ones because of limitations and stuff,
Right.
single colors, but later on, like Super Metroid and stuff, you get a lot of reds and purples and a lot of warmer colors in there, especially like, in my mind, the one I'm really thinking about is Metroid Fusion on the Game Boy Advance. Just thinking about an adaptation of that story with James Stokoe, I want that so many times.
I still think your biggest hang-up with it, though, is the coloring. I think that's more what it is. It's just too bright.
It's also all the characters' eyes. Like, if you look at their eyes, they're too big and wide, and their faces are too childish looking and cartoony because of that. Like, it's just, everyone looks cartoony, and it shouldn't. Like, it should look more serious, at least from my opinion. But, like, the cover of the book is fucking, like, perfect. And so I went in there looking at the cover and being like, all right, the interior is going to be the best thing that I ever, like, attached my eyeballs to. And it wasn't. And I was like, well, what the fuck, dude? But that's all I have to say. I'm going to go ahead and cut it because my wife just got back from working out. So we will, I guess, see you guys next week. And y'all take it easy and don't do anything crazy.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Have a good night, everybody.
Adios. Let me actually press the button. Goodbye.